All right, what's going on, good people? This is Twaski again. So let me go ahead and break this down for you. We were talking about demoralization and psychological warfare. Look up those definitions. A crisis, let me be clear when I say this, a crisis, a trigger, something that ruffles your feathers. It could be a car wreck. COVID was a good example of a crisis. But understand what a crisis is. It is seasonal. It is temporary. Let me repeat that. All crises are seasonal, temporary. They're not intended to last. But when you have a crisis, a trigger, you're going to naturally experience stress. It is normal. But here it is. When we talk about these two words, the intent of the crisis, I believe we're being purposely traumatized. If the crisis exists, you're supposed to normally have stress. Here's where it gets interesting. The stress, if you can't handle stress or the crisis at the lowest level or whatever that situation was, the stress then turns into what we call anxiety. Anxiety is basically prolonged stress. Now, when you go back and look at the words demoralization and psychological warfare, you'll start to see what I mean about we're being purposely traumatized. We're being purposely introduced to prolonged stress. This is where you might start seeing some light forms of self-medicating. Somebody might tap their fingers a lot or fidgety, or even pick up smoking cigarettes or even alcohol, just light forms of behavior changes that you see. Now, anxiety, if you can't handle the anxiety, remember, these are the phases of stress based on how you respond to a crisis. The goal is to experience a crisis at the first level, deal with it, and it's temporary, and the crisis is over. You move on. But we're noticing that we're stressing, we're having anxiety, which is prolonged stress, and then many are going to the third phase, which is depression. This is where you also see real behavior changes due to low coping strategies or low coping skills. Now, depression can lead to suicide. This is where a person makes a permanent decision for a temporary crisis. In other words, they go through a crisis. You just don't go all the way down here and commit suicide. You just don't skip stress and go to depression. All crises start with stress. And the goal is to have you stressing longer so that you can end up down here. This is Twaski with Peeping Game. Peace out.